I just wanted to thank Applied Arts for having me here today to chat with all of you. I'm very excited to share my journey. I guess let's just dive right into this. I'm currently a stylist for the light imaging team. We are based out of Kitchener, but work within like the GTA area. We have a full commercial studio space with that holds all of our offices, a full-size kitchen for all of our culinary work, and our prop room. I've been with the team for just over a year now, and I specialize in prop styling. So this is what I've become most passionate about throughout the years. So let's talk about how I discovered this passion. I've always enjoyed the arts, from drawing to painting to eventually owning my own camera. It's always been something I'm pursuing in my free time. In high school, I took all of the art courses. I was in yearbook. I did all of the like sports and event photography in high school, just trying to get really involved in and being familiar with like shooting big crowds and like learning more about my camera. By grade 11, I was exploring more options with college and just trying to get my head around what that would look like for myself. I was feeling pretty stumped, as most high school students probably feel, with having this huge pressure of like what they want to do for the rest of their lives. But I knew that I wanted to go to school for something that I loved. I knew I would be most passionate in school if I was pursuing something that felt that brought me a lot of joy. So it was important to me to be honest with myself and just like follow that path. So I was realizing that photography was something that I wanted to learn more about. It was some skills that I wanted to like further develop, and I thought school would be the best option for me to explore this art. Before going to school for this, I only really knew the basics of like working with my camera. I wasn't very technical, but like I said, this art really was speaking to me, and I really wanted to see what this could become. So in my last few years in high school, I was attending like every open house for colleges in Ontario. Um, I was very eager. So I was meeting professors and talking with college students. I sat in on a few classes, and I met with some program coordinators to review my portfolio. Just very eager to like pick the right school for myself. It's very important to me that I'm learning in an environment that I feel creative in and feel safe in, and just like get those like creative things flowing. So for various reasons, I chose Mohawk College creative photography program. That just like really drew me in. Um, but as an amateur photographer, I really felt that I was learning lots. It was a very hands-on program, learning things from how to use the body of your camera to like the business side of things. I definitely feel like I was being creatively pushed throughout the course. However, I was starting to feel this disconnect with the technical side of things. So I would have like very strong visions that I wanted to create, but having some like difficulties with like executing something. For example, like a lighting was always something very technical that I just wasn't advancing to the level that I wanted to. So this was creating a lot of like moments of like rethinking this field. Like, is this the right thing for myself? Um, I knew at the time that I didn't want to get into like wedding photography or couple photographs or concert, any kind of event. Like that wasn't the right path for myself. So I was beginning to learn a lot of the things that I didn't want to do, um, which I know is important to like be true to yourself and realize those things. But I was definitely struggling to find my niche. By second year, like a lot of peers were already like finding what they wanted to like pursue. So I was feeling a little bit behind, but I always really enjoyed like the aesthetic side of things. I just wasn't sure how to put that into my work. But over the course of the program, I had a lot of opportunity to shoot with food for some of my assignments, and those were the moments that I felt most in my element. I was feeling more comfortable, more confident. I was getting a better grasp on how to like execute my visions. Um, there was one particular moment that I probably won't forget for a while. Um, I was helping another student at his studio on his food setup, and I was just explaining how like the shot can be elevated to become more like visually appealing, just like small things he could change to just bump up the shot to make it a little bit more um, appealing. So it must have been the words I was using while helping him on set that grabbed my prof's attention. And we ended up kind of sitting down and talking a little bit. And this prof definitely opened my eyes to something that I've never considered before. So this was definitely a turning point in my career that now that I look back on, um, it made me really reflect on like what I enjoyed shooting the most about food. So working with like color stories and the mood and the feeling and just like those elements in a photograph, I was always drawn drawn towards. Um, so this like constantly had my mind turning, having this like shift in like a passion. Um, so as I was approaching my final semester, I wasn't really feeling ready to be done school. Like I still had this strong urge to continue learning. Like I wasn't ready to be out in the creative world. So in my final year, I was starting to attend a lot of open houses again, starting to do more research, finding it really difficult to just figure out what I wanted to do. Like there was definitely some more moments of struggle. I wasn't really finding the perfect fit. There was still just like so much about the creative world that I was unaware of. Like there's so many jobs that I knew were out there, but I didn't really know what they were. Um, but then there was a point that I thought I was going to go into um, interior decorating. That was like something that was appealing to me, and I thought maybe I should like change directions. But then I landed across a program at Sheridan College. It was the Visual Merchandising Arts program, and I thought how well that my photography skills would kind of blend into this program. It just felt like a really good fit for me, like a good combination of skills. Um, so I had graduated from the photography program and then moved on to the Sheridan program. This program offered a huge variety of skill sets from like retail merchandising to fashion styling, product styling, interior staging, woodworking, tech classes, like you name it, we were covering a lot of grounds. Again, I was discovering a lot of things that I didn't want to do, which again was like something important. At least I was narrowing things down and learning more about myself by figuring out what wasn't really appealing to me. Um, but then I had never really felt so much of myself in my product styling class at Sheridan. I generally was feeling so happy there, just absorbing all the information and really dived into those projects. Like there's just this feeling that like when you know you have it, you have it. And it was um, really like really important for me. So I knew that I needed to listen to those feelings and explore more of this path. Styling was something that I was like beginning to learn a little bit more about, and I was just really eager to like figure more out about that. Um, so the Sheridan program also offered co-op positions, which was very helpful to like get out into the world and get a better grasp on like what's out there. So for my first co-op, I was at IKEA doing the communications and interior design department, which was great. I was learning a lot about retail merch and like displaying and kind of behind doors of IKEA, like what they're doing, which was great. But it was another realization that I didn't want to be in the retail environment. Um, so when my second co-op approached, I was really struggling with who to reach out to, what do I do, because I want to pursue this styling, but there wasn't a lot of options out there that were like provided to the students. So I went out on my own and emailed a bunch of stylists and agencies, and I was getting some luck. I had some replies back from stylists, and it was going good. And then like communication kind of cut off, and people weren't replying. So again, it was a little bit of a letdown and another struggle of where am I going to like proceed from here. Um, but I ended up deciding to make my own arrangement and create my own co-op program. So I had everything like planned out and like graphed out, and decided to curate my own concepts, um, find my own models, like source my own wardrobe, hair, makeup, props, all of that, and then find photographers that wanted to shoot my ideas. So I ended up working closely with two photographers and they helped like execute my ideas. I finally was feeling like my ideas were coming to life. And I was working in a studio environment, which I was like beginning to just fall in love with. The pace of it and like working with other creative minded people was just getting my like creative juices going. Like I really was loving that environment so much. Just seeing how like working, being as a stylist and working with a photographer instead of before I was kind of doing all of those roles together. Now I could kind of step back and just focus on what I enjoyed most and doing the best I could in that direction, which just felt like this was the path I needed to be on. I really felt like I was thriving. So, um, but after graduation, I didn't really have too much lined up. It was still struggling with like who to reach out to, and who to go to. So by the time I graduated, I just decided to take like a month to 2 months off for myself. I had just completed like 4 years of college and like wanted a little bit of my own time. Um, but but I was beginning to feel eager, like what was out there. So after those few months, I started like hammering out some emails. Reaching out to people I knew was the easiest way for me to start, which I know is like a huge thing to overcome. Like it feels very nerve wracking, but without sending the emails, you don't know what's out there. So, in the comfort of my own home, I was sending these emails. And on my second email, I was very shocked to receive um, some responses. So, I was in touch with a producer that offered me a job to be a stylist, which was very overwhelming to begin with. I've never been a stylist on set outside of school, like out with real clients on a real job. So I went in there and like tried my best and was observing, and that job went well. I had a few more jobs lined up with the same producer and the same team, and that lasted for a few months. And it ended up turning into a full-time position. So I'm just like feeling very grateful that I stayed true to what I was passionate about, and I chased that. Like you never really know where you're going to end up, and your path in life can always change. And so it's important to stay like open-minded and see what's really out there. I never would have thought that I would be here doing this job right now. A few years ago, I didn't even know this job existed, to be honest. So it's about like not being afraid to admit what you don't like and just being true to yourself. Realizing that everyone's path is going to look a little different. Um, but for me, it's important to define like what you think success is for yourself and then like really manifest that into your life. So I know that's a hard thing to ask young people because sometimes we just have no idea. But for me, it's just even the small thing of doing what I love and that making me happy. So what I'm doing is making me extremely happy. And I feel like at least I'm beginning to feel on the right path. And I'm being really driven to like continue on that road. So I'm feeling very grateful for the people I'm working for. I'm always feeling very inspired. They have given me the biggest opportunity right now, so I'm just kind of taking that and really like diving right into it. But I guess we can move into my job role, and I can talk to you guys about where I'm at with my job. So I'm just going to open this up here. Okay. So I just put a little presentation here to talk about or to like break down what my job role is and what a day in the life kind of looks for myself. So as a prop stylist, I'm working closely with photographers and recipe developers and chefs to create images of food. That is like my biggest job role and the role that I'm most passionate about. So I thought I would share that. So I receive a bunch of recipes, and it's my role to break down the recipe and figure out what I want this to look like. Um, what does this recipe pair well with? What's the feeling that this recipe is giving me? And then it's my job to kind of execute um, those different like factors. So here's just a few examples of recipes I've been given and how I kind of break it down to get the final result for the final shot. So here we have like just like a breakfast sandwich. I'm pulling some colors. I'm using Pinterest a lot. I sometimes go to Instagram. Like that's another great tool to use to pull some inspiration. And while I'm looking on Pinterest, I'm looking for a feeling, I'm looking for angles. Like sometimes I'm just pulling images because the way they shot this, like the angle is kind of what I want to replicate in the final shot. So yeah, I'm looking at those things, and then I'm going into our prop inventory and pulling props that are matching the mood board that I've put together, writing small notes, I'm pulling background ideas, just putting together like an overall feeling that I want this shot to look like. So here's just a few more examples. Pinterest is an amazing source. Like there's like endless photos, so it's an easy way to pull inspo from. And again, I'm just like pulling more props, pulling backgrounds, writing notes. Um, Breaking down recipes was hard for me at the beginning. I don't have a lot of like food knowledge, but through just like the experience is the best way to be learning. Learning more about different types of food and what colors resemble those like ingredients or like how they look when they're cooked. Like there's a lot of things to be considering. So again, just a few more examples, pulling Pinterest boards, pulling props. And then sometimes just with my phone, I'll photograph like a set that I think I want to be using for the final shot. It just helps me like put the props together to see like a more final version of what this should look like and like how the colors, the patterns, the textures all come together. Um, it also gives like clients a better idea of like what I'm envisioning in my head. So it's just a good communication tool to like have everyone clear and like understanding what I'm trying to like what I'm trying to like show. So here are just a few shots that I've created with my team. So working with a chef and like our photographer, and then pulling the props. Um, yeah, and here's just a few more images. But yeah, overall, it's only been a year with the company, but it's been like the best journey I've ever been on, and I'm still a little unsure of where I want to be, but I feel really, really happy with where I am, and I'm learning so much in this role. It's constantly changing. I'm learning more. Just actually being with the right people helps so much, and there's so many things I can ask and be learning, and it's been absolutely incredible. So I just feel lucky to be here doing this, and yeah, happy to be sharing. So thank you for.
Thank you, Mecayla. Oh my gosh, that looks so good. I need to eat after this. Question. We have a couple of questions coming in. One is kind of generic, just for a young young illustrator, do you have any job hunting tips on getting a landing your first assignment or job? I think it's probably just more industry knowledge.
Yeah, a little bit, and like along your way of your path, whether it's through school or however you're learning this craft, is just like making those connections and remembering people's faces and names. Like you really just want your name to be known. So if you have to go and knock on some doors, people will be willing to help. So I think those are the easiest ways to you can always go back to them and just ask for help. And I think asking for help always seems hard or you feel like you don't want to because you want to do it on your own, but it's really important to just realize that everyone is out here asking for help. It's the way to get through in the industry sometimes, so you don't have to feel bad about that. And then research through like social media platforms or looking at agencies or even just like taking walks downtown Toronto, like looking at different like storefronts, you'll see people and um, yeah, just like always reaching out and not feeling bad about doing that.
Yeah, for sure. And it is. It's a small industry, but creative people seem to be very helpful.
Yeah.
An industry that's really we open arms for sure.
Mhm.
What resources can you recommend to someone who wants to be a prop stylist?
Um, resources to like become in this job role, like what to be. Um, I think, on Instagram, I'm learning a lot about learning more about people that are actually doing this role. Like I said a few years ago, I wasn't really aware, so it wasn't until I started digging and seeing people do this and understanding the lifestyle and, um, what it takes to get there. So I think having, um, like, the interest in putting, props together, if you have that niche of wanting to do that, you can start collecting your own props or reaching out to photographers or agencies that might want those people because a lot of photographers will do those jobs on their own, but uh, actually having a stylist on set helps the process and like um, having everything smooth on set. So I think photographers is the easiest way to reach out. They'd always be looking for someone to help style or source for props or help them shopping.
The community for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Community is always important,
yeah.
especially when you're starting out. What are your future career goals? I think you said that you weren't 100% sure, but
I still feel a little unsure of like where I see myself. Um, I've definitely had different like ideas pop in my head as I'm learning more about the industry. I've checked out a few like prop houses in the city, and that really opened my eyes. I've never seen a warehouse just like full of props, so it's kind of interesting to be like, well, maybe one day would I want to be just like helping other creatives out and like renting props to them. I've really developed like a strong passion for like antiquing and shopping and thrifting. Like I love doing that on my own time, and now through work, it's been even bigger of a passion. So if it's just like shopping or doing that, but I'm still, like I said, I'm still unaware or unsure. I don't think I see myself working for myself, like creating my own business. I love working like with other people as a team. So I'm just going to stay on that path right now. And then through working with other people, see where that leads me.
how have your parents been in your journey from, your 4 years of school and going in this? Have they been really supportive? I know, when we talk to other creatives, they are, parents are always kind of pushing them back, trying to do something, become a doctor, a lawyer, teacher. How are your parents at this?
I'm very grateful to have parents that have been very understanding and very supportive. The transition from going from photography to styling um, was smooth with them, but I think they were even had no idea that styling was such a like a prominent job out there in the world. So for them to just kind of understand that took maybe some time, I guess, but, they were still very supportive with what I was doing, and then them being able to see the things that I'm creating kind of out in the world is a good way for them to realize that, like, this is something that is needed, like, across the board, everywhere. Everyone's always looking for beautiful images, right? So, yeah.
Oh, very good. Now, do you have a dream client that you would like to work with? If you haven't already started with your dream client.
I've definitely been working with clients that I can't even imagine I'm working with right now. Um, yeah, I think just, like, seeing my work actually printed in books has been, like, the biggest, like, wow moment for myself. I don't think I have, like, a particular client, but, um, I think I'm already feeling very grateful for where I'm at and, like, the clients I'm working for, so, um, but yeah, we'll see if I get land anything bigger.
Excellent. It's always nice getting published for sure.
Yeah,
I think that is all of our questions for
okay.
today. So we're just going to wrap this one up. Michaela, thank you so much. That was so interesting. I learned what a food stylist does and didn't realize that there was actually a career out of it.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time. And again, for everyone, as you start the school application process and or just looking to explore where your talents fit, visit creativefutures.ca. There's tons of information and there's lots of open houses going on virtually this year, but there's still open houses. So go over to creativefutures.ca. We do have 3 sessions scheduled for tomorrow starting at 10:30. You can still register. Again, creativefutures.ca and just click on speaker series to go to the session that you want. Thank you again, Michaela.
Thank you.